put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cock-a-crow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-qua. Cock-a-crow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-qua. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetch the load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad.
This is political madness. It is government and employer tyranny. It is the violation of laws and the transgression of workers' and citizens' rights. The world is confronting an epidemic, the COVID-19 virus. It means that to effectively manage this great health crisis, all the necessary factors must be operational. Decisions must be guided by science, laws, and resources. The Guyana Trades Union Congress has been advised that some employers are moving to require workers be vaccinated or produce a negative COVID-19 test before they could work. We have been advised that today workers at the government maritime department who are not vaccinated were sent home. This is a transgression of the workers' rights. Let me repeat it. This is a transgression of the workers' rights. Nowhere is this vaccine mandatory by law. Instead of government taking an approach to allay fears with regard to vaccination hesitancy and availability based on that approved by the World Health Organization, they are moving with brute force and ignorance to mask their incompetence in handling this virus. The question also becomes, who next? Who next? First, let it be made very clear, the GTUC shall abide by universal conventions, principles, and laws, and is not opposed to anyone taking the vaccine. GTUC is opposed to a process that refuses to acknowledge and allay citizens' legitimate fears about the pandemic, the vaccine, and for those who have pre-existing health conditions, what vaccine they take or whether they should take the vaccine at all. GTUC is opposed to the absence of transparency in handling the pandemic because transparency is vital to building confidence in every society. GTUC is opposed to selfishness in the management of this crisis that requires collaboration. GTUC is opposed to the use of any vaccine not approved by the only international authorizing agency, which is the World Health Organization. And whereas the GTUC is strongly opposed to the regime-handed approach, the president, ministers, and other government officials, they disregarded COVID-19 guidelines, such as social distances, masking, and elimination of large gatherings. GTUC is most concerned about the safety and health of the working class and their families. The Ali regime must first and foremost address and assure this nation of the following. One, the number of vaccines available based on the population eligible to receive same. The government must provide to this nation evidence that it has within supply the required amount for the population size. Guyana is not the United States of America. Great Britain, Canada, and other developed countries that have or could produce within real time vaccines for their citizens. They must answer these questions. They must answer these questions and stop gerrymandering around the place. We need to know how many approved World Health Organization vaccines are in the government's possession. This includes the first and second dose and the process of procurement We must know also, for those who have taken the first dose of the Sputnik V vaccine, which has not been approved by the WHO, and are awaiting the second dose, how soon this will be made available to them? What about the time frame between the first and the second doses to ensure the efficacy of the vaccine? Science must guide, in fact, not gut feelings. Lies, tardiness, and profiteering of a deadly pandemic. We don't want those things around. In a pandemic, particularly one of this nature, not seen in 100 years, it is the government that activates the process and resources to provide testing and vaccination. In the workplaces, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, Chapter 99(10), Section 47(3), task employer with additional duties to pay the workers' costs for medical examination or tests required by the medical surveillance program or required by regulation. It is the duty of the employer to provide and right of the employee to demand it. You must demand it. If workers are being asked to produce a negative test before returning to work, then the employer must bear the expenses for that test because it falls into the category of occupational safety and health for the workers. And in that environment, and is or co-worker, no person should be paying to do COVID-19 tests, whether they access the test from the state or private institution, the employer must pay. It is the duty. It is the duty of the state to ensure that health and safety of its citizens. The duty does not include brute force and ignorance. Decisions must be guided by science, laws, and available resources. It is the duty of those employers who require mandatory testing of their workers to create such a process by having workers complete a pre-screening form about their COVID status. Encountering an infected person showing signs and symptoms associated with the virus, having their temperature taken, and facilitating testing. If testing cannot be provided on site, the employer must cover the costs if provided elsewhere. Pre-screening documents could form part of the employer's occupational safety and health record in ensuring the workplace is free from the virus. Such record keeping could also aid in tracing and partnering with the governing authorities should a worker be infected. The nation is also aware the government has taken the decision that those who are not vaccinated cannot enter government agencies. Government must not prevent citizens from going about their legitimate businesses, whether they are vaccinated or not. When the government has not gotten its act together, then anything can happen. The agencies are free to do COVID-19 pre-screening, but must not enforce COVID-19 guidelines on the premises. What they must do is embrace them and implement them at the appropriate time. This issue of our, where we call it, our government believing that, the government and the private sector believing that they can say anything and do anything. Anybody tell you to go home, any employee, you must tell them, put it in writing. It is time that we begin to challenge this dictatorship. Government must stop antagonizing and dividing the nation in the handling of this virus. They must seek to manage the pandemic consistent with science, laws, and appropriate resources. The rank and file must not become the social and economic victims of government failures and employers' arrogance. The arrogance that these employers going about now, because they see themselves as a partner with the government. They believe they can violate laws, transgress people's rights. It is time that we come out with some level of indignation and stand up against these tyrants. Rights and laws must not be transgressed to mask what is evidently poor handling of the pandemic. Mismanagement of the health crisis must end now, and it must start now with the Ali regime. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you, citizens.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket pan she head, bucket in each hand, hold up and she frack, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockcrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockcrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockcrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. Inaga, jackass yard for fetch a load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come.